Retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Welcome to the interview room, everybody, on this amazing, and I mean amazing, Monday evening. Let's give it a couple of minutes. Let's give it a couple of minutes for folks to get in here. I want to thank our mods for this special Monday evening, you being here. Miss Sophia, Mimi J2, Maui Girl, Teresa M, and Laura. Best mods on YouTube. And each and every one of you who have shown up here tonight for part 2 of Jenn Soto. Let's give it a couple of minutes. We'll let people to get the notification, and then we'll get kicking it. Don't you just love good music? I'm so glad I got the board fixed. Thanks, Josh, at the lab. He helped me get this board fixed. That's what I'm talking about. Karen thought the shirt was nice. Thank you for your compliments. You're so kind. I love good music. It's always been a staple to my heart. I hope it feels that way for you tonight. I'm really excited I got this board fixed to get this music going here. I think it just adds such a different dynamic to every show, and I just feel it's pretty cool. Great day, great friends, great chat. So grateful to have each and every one of you here this evening to honor Madeline Soto, also known as Maddie. We're going to go into part 2 on Mom, and we're going to pick it up where these Orange County Sheriff's Department investigators, man, they are... I watched the second part of this afternoon, and as I promised, you know, when I heard that word, the woods, I thought to myself, wait a minute, I hadn't heard that before. And obviously many of you had, but it didn't register with me right away. And then when I heard that, you know, the totality of this whole situation for me kind of fell into place in terms of a better understanding of not only where the detectives were, but just the totality of, man, what's going on here with this Jenn Soto with mom? And so tonight, we're going to go over part 2 of this interview. And I watched the whole thing as I promised you last night that I would do today. I watched part 2, the rest of this afternoon. And yeah, so we're going to we're going to hit this, but I want to just refresh everybody of what we talked about yesterday, essentially. You know, my position on this whole thing up to this point has been, the first part of that interview was pretty obvious where she sat. And I think we were pretty accurate, not knowing what, the totality of what she was going to say on the second part here. But the fact that she's sitting there in the middle of that couch and she is not deviated from the center of that couch. And man, if that's not some messaging, some, subliminal messaging, it reminds me, I had a caper years ago where I just had this guy and it was just such a horrific crime. And he kind of reminded me of Jenn Soto when I started thinking back. And it was just so interesting to see how the human behavior, how it just, fluctuates, it pulls, it pushes, it shoves, it holds back, it goes forward, it goes up, it goes down. And it's just such a fascinating dynamic to watch all 3 of these personalities in the room, and how you see a very clear, not necessarily body language, but you see a very clear vision of, and you can feel it in a room, by the way. You can feel it in an interview room where, you just know somebody, and not her, I'm talking about somebody who's pure evil. You can feel it. If you want to see pure evil, go look at the video that I put up a long time ago about Brandon Wilson, where I interviewed him, and he demonstrates on me how he killed his victim. And in the middle of that interview, what you don't see, because it was like 6 hours long, and this is just like a 4-minute piece of it, but he stops in the middle of the interview, and I'll never forget it. And he looks right at me. And you could just feel the temperature of that room just change. I mean, it was just so weird. And it was almost like this manifestation of evil had just stepped into the room. And he stops and he looks at me, and I'm across from the table. And he looks over at me and he goes, "You know who I am." And I swear it was like, holy smoke, this dude has something or somebody in him. And I don't know what it was. I will tell you from my own personal experience, that was like, talk about freaky. Okay. And I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I looked over at Tom, my partner sitting in the interview room, and thus the name of this program. And I looked over at him, I go, "Let's take a break." And we walked out. And Tom looks at me, and the hair on our arms and our, it was cold, it was chilling. And I said, "Dude, that was evil." And he goes, "I know, I felt it too." I said, this is wrong. And it was shortly thereafter he gave me that demonstration on, how we killed that kid. So just be prepared. I'm giving you a heads up. If you do go watch it, it is pretty chilling. It's Brandon Wilson. So anyway, when I heard that word last night, the woods, I asked myself, did somebody feed her that information? Or is this something that what we would call leakage, right? Remember that word? Did she just kind of accidentally spill this into the environment? And so I'm going to pick it up where they left off, where we kind of left off. I went back just a little bit, but this is going to get into the nitty gritty here. There's a lot going on from a professional interviewing perspective. Again, the room was selected for the type of room. It's a soft room. The clock isn't working. That could be one of two things. They didn't want it to work. Sometimes we used to pull the battery out, so the time was suspended, and the suspect kind of loses, orientation in relationship to, time and space. So they'll look up and the clock is frozen, or the battery doesn't work on this one. But so it can be a 50-50 problem here, that they could have intentionally had it do that, or they could have taken the battery out of it. Or, the battery just died. But the selection of where she sat on that couch is critical. As I said yesterday, when you introduce somebody into a environment, okay, then you let them choose where they want to go. If it's a type A dominant personality, I've had suspects choose my chair, and I let them, because then you want to project this humility of, you're much smarter than me. And you want to kind of project this idea of, I'm a country bumpkin. I just fell off of a turnip truck. Thank goodness you're here to help me and teach me about how you murder. And so there's a whole bunch of, setup that is taking place long before the suspect gets into that room. There's a decision about what room are we going to put this person in. And this is a soft room. Okay. And she goes immediately to the center of the couch. And here is where we kind of left off last night. Okay. And notice how this is the part where she's describing how everybody's sleeping together, but she's in the middle of that couch. And there will be a couple of times, coming up again, where you'll see a transition of her lower body. But this is important because the investigators know that she may be holding something back and that she's probably telling the truth simultaneously. So you have that 50-50 conversation going on here. And then you start to realize that the investigator, Kevin O'Malley, I think is his name, everybody's been saying, that he starts turning up the heat. Remember, we used the frog analogy last night. How do you boil a frog? You put it in cold water and you slowly turn that heat up, and they realize it's too late. So he's using essentially that concept. And so he's starting to throw stuff at her. And what he's doing is looking for response, reflection, response. How is she thinking? How is she processing? Because they haven't put all their cards on the table. So they want to pull her into a situation where you can physically see her start to think. She starts leaning forward, she pulls back, she starts leaning over, and she's trying to process. There are some very obvious points in here where she's processing, what do they know? And she measures that against what she's been told. So Are you guys ready? Let's put our seatbelts on and let's go for a ride here.
Find her as quickly as possible. On the 2% chance we're wrong and that she is alive, that's phenomenal, right? That's the best thing that could happen. On the chance that we are 100% correct and she has passed away, finding her now versus later will bring closure to your family, will bring closer to everybody, regardless of how it happened or why it happened. Meaning, if you have an inclination, if you know where she's at, if his father knows, that doesn't mean those people get held accountable for what he did. It doesn't mean those people get held accountable for knowing what he did. It means we close out the investigation. You know what I mean? So a lot of times we go into rooms like this and we ask people questions. We say, hey, do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? And there's this fear of what happened already happened. I can't change that, so I'm not going to insert myself with knowledge because it's going to make me look bad. Regardless, at this point, murdered her, right? He victimized her. He ruined her entire life from childhood until now. I think that there's probably some sense of...
Now, did you notice right there what she did with her head? Her head went down. She tilted it down because what he did is he hit her with a very strong statement. You know, he's been victimizing her, you know, pretty much half of her life almost, and her head went down. And she's processing what exactly, you know, does that mean?
Sense of guilt. And my fear is that sense of guilt is causing you to not want to assist in the location of her, not because you're a bad person, but because there's that sense of guilt that what was happening under your roof, and now, by her being found, brings that all to your plate, and it doesn't.
Oh no, if I knew anything, I would so tell you. I would to the that she said, because you guys tell me you're suspicious, but I'm not going to believe it until I have her body.
So there are things, and the reason I say these things, and again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but the reason I say these things is there's a lot of things you've said, and a lot of things I've kind of researched between the Fox 35 story,
on purpose,
between your initial statement to the police. A lot of things have changed. The initial statement to the police was you watched her get dressed, you watched her leave, you knew exactly what she was wearing.
Can I tell you
Absolutely.
my thought process on that, or where I came from with that? I was handed this form, and I'm like, where do I start? What do I write? And somebody said, tell them what you saw. And so I started with, I saw. And then I wrote out what I wrote out. But it wasn't until later I was like, wait, I didn't see her. I assumed that I saw her. I assumed that I heard her. But I didn't. In reality, I didn't see her. I only saw him, and I heard something in the kitchen, but I don't know who that was.
Which we've talked about today. But I guess there's other concerns. Right? Mm-hmm. You are nervous. The police have showed you their hand. They said, Stephan, we want your phone. Stephan, we want to talk to you. We are going to lock down your residence. You can't go back inside. Me? I don't care if it's the love of my life sitting next to me. I don't care if it's maternal grandma. If the police come and take my mom's phone and my son's disappearance, I'm not going to offer my mom a lawyer. That's nuts to me. That to me shows you prioritizing Stephan. Because at that point you became more worried about him being falsely accused than any. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Whether or not that's what you felt, does that make sense? People having lawyers is their constitutional right. That is a thing that everybody is afforded. But for somebody who's going through what you are going through, to offer him a lawyer leads me to believe that there may have been a conversation, there may have been knowledge, or there may have been some inclination that you had, whether it be his involvement, her location, or something to where in your mind there's guilt.
I promise you,
because you offering him a lawyer is very weird.
I know. that was still me under the assumption that, I think at one point you guys interviewed me, and when you guys showed me the picture of her, I believed the sexual stuff, but I didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like, no, what if he did this stuff fine, but what if she's still missing out there? What if somebody took her? I still wanted to believe I believed him. I believed his whole story. So I was just like, I kept repeating that part. I'm just like, what if she did get dropped off? What if she got abducted? What if she's missing? But that was me assuming that you guys had the wrong guy. I wanted to think he was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. After everything you guys have told me and have shown me, I know he's the worst person on this face of the earth.
You know that
right now.
now. We know he's a piece of shit now.
You know.
But you didn't know that then.
I didn't.
Then you offered a guy who the police suspected of kidnapping, abducting, assisting the disappearance. Offered him a lawyer.
All right. So what do you guys think on what's going on here? So she's got some obvious issues. I mean, big time, to the point where, she's seen the photographs. She's seen the horror of those photographs with her own daughter. And obviously what O'Malley is measuring against what she's seen, he's trying to test her moral compass and her allegiance. And her allegiance is pretty obvious in this particular process or part of the interview, where he's saying to her, and notice, look at her hands again. Remember, we talked about this last night. For some reason, her hands always go towards her privates, and they're face down. Okay, so that is a comforting / you're not getting near me gesture. What that is, what she's doing there. And he's trying to measure where she is emotionally, mentally, physically. And he's obviously brought up the fact that she's seen physical photographs that the police showed her of Stephan viciously molesting her child. And in that moment, she chooses, to select him over her. And now at this point, where he's confronting her with that, he's looking for something that says, is this gal involved, or is this gal just so disassociated mentally, physically, emotionally? Is there a trauma bond here? Is she afraid of him? Is she operating out of fear? And if so, why? Why is she giving up her daughter? There's a whole bunch going on in her head, and he's trying to measure that. And the only way you can do that, obviously, is you have to listen intently to the response coming back.
And then we don't have to roundtable that. You went back to what you just said is the sex stuff is fine.
It's not fine.
Hold on. I know every relationship is different, and I know everybody's family is different. I won't ask, but going back on, has he expressed interest in, I'll use the word weird, I'm not going to shame anybody for what they like, different sexual pleasures, different sexual experiences, different kinks that involve things you weren't comfortable with?
The only thing he's ever expressed to me was like anal.
Okay.
He had an anal kink and lick butts.
Okay.
But that was something I was never comfortable with or doing, and I let him know that. Like that's not something.
That's fine. You guys slept.
Now, the obvious thing that he just did there was he laid the foundation for deviant behavior. And for the obvious reasons there is he doesn't trust her right now in this part of this conversation at all. he's still trying to figure out, is there something behind the curtain where this mom is involved somehow with the daughter that's missing? And remember, they haven't found her body yet, but she has seen photographs of Stephan and Maddie in the car passing. Okay. And what he's trying to do is basically test the water so that if they find something on her phone later on and it has some type of CP connection, then he's going to be able to come back in and drop a bombshell as this interview probably was progressing, because they have her phone and it only takes about 15 minutes for Celebrite to dump everything that they need to see.
In the same bed together. Stephen was a big portion of your life at one point. Stephan was a big portion of your life at one point. And this is not me coming at you as a person or a bad person, because shit happens in the past, in the past, in the past. We can't change the past. Has he ever expressed to you anything? Never. Has he ever made statements about made you feel different?
No.
Okay. When you guys slept in the same bed together, in the middle, did you ever wake up and find them cuddling? Did you ever wake up and find them closer than you thought they should be?
They would snuggle, yeah.
Okay.
But we all snuggle. I didn't think that was abnormal.
So if you guys are sleeping in the same bed and she's in the center, you've woken up and they're snuggling, they're under the same blanket, they're not under the same blanket?
No.
But just like
she's got her own blanket.
Spooning for what? What is snuggling to you? Because to me, snuggling, spooning, big spoon, little spoon.
He would lay down like this, and she would be right here in the nook.
Okay, this is where we left off.
How do you guys sleep? Do you guys sleep clothed, unclothed? I sleep clothed.
Yeah.
Shirt, pants, pajama sets.
Yes.
Everybody.
I sleep in like my everyday clothes.
Okay.
On pajamas or baggy t-shirts and shorts.
Okay.
And Stephan would sleep with his t-shirt or boxers, sometimes with his pants on, but he didn't have pajamas.
Okay, so they would snuggle, sometimes him being in his boxers.
Now, did you hear the subtlety there from the investigator? Okay, then, and they would snuggle, sometime in boxers, and what he did is he parroted back essentially what she described. And what he's now hoping to hear is a response from her like, yeah, and that was weird, or, you know, a response back to that comment directed right at her very subtly. But you heard him say it, okay, and they would cuddle, not her. Stephan and Maddie would cuddle, and he's waiting for a response from her. Either her body's going to move, she's going to, you know, disagree, and et cetera, okay? Because what he's trying to measure here is, look, what is going on with her that she doesn't think, feel, understand that this is just like out of bounds, mentally, physically, morally, legally. It's just out of bounds. Okay. And so he's now going to do a self-reflection about his own personal life to kind of bring a sense of normalcy to the conversation.
You would wake up and she'd be in the nook of his arm, and essentially in a cuddling position. And you never found that weird. No. Okay.
See? Right there. He got to the point. Do you ever find that weird? And she didn't even hesitate. She goes, no.
Again, you and I may find things different. Why? And I don't want you to look back on it, because now you know you victimized her for a long time. Right? Under your roof. With you home, most likely, because you said you're always home. You just got this job. You've been living off disability. I know the Kissimmee Police Department has showed you pictures. I know they've verbally explained to you some pictures. I can tell you that today, we are still downloading his Google Drives. We are still going through his social medias, his cloud-based servers, and everything else. and we can now piece back her victimization in your house under your care to 2020. I believe you've gone as far back as in when she...
Now, he set her up for this emotional response here. And it was very well done on how he did it, because what he said was pretty straightforward. She was basically molested on your watch. And, you know, here you are. He didn't say this part, but the inference is, and here you are telling us that everybody's sleeping in the same bed. You don't find this in any way, shape, or form out of bounds. And so what he did is he, you know, basically sent a round down range, and it hit her hard. And she's realizing, okay, how much more do I give? Do I let him know? Do I don't let him know? And notice she has not changed position still. After hearing all of this, after knowing she's seen all these photographs, she is still holding back something, and they feel it in that room. They can feel it.
So when I ask, they've woken up cuddling, did you find things?
That was beautiful, because notice he didn't say anything when she, you know, bent over. Okay? He just let her have her moment. And then when she came up, he continued to carry on the conversation.
Do you have an open relationship? Talk to you? Has he made inappropriate statements? It's almost like cheating, right? Like, have you ever been cheated on? Okay. Somebody can only cheat on somebody for so long until they fuck up, or until something comes out, or somebody says something, right? So we go back to 2020, we're looking at a minimum of 3.5 years. 3.5 years where I'm sure you guys are sexually active. You guys... Yes. So for 3.5 years under your care in your house, not only was he being sexually active with you, he had a sexual relationship.
Now she's mentally measuring her daughter being sexually active with Stephan. And these are all comforting movements.
And I know it's an emotional thing, and I know it sucks to hear, but where I'm coming from is it seems like something that you can't hide forever. You guys live in a small space, close quarters, you sleep in the same bed, you guys all talk, you guys all share things, you're an observant person for the most part, I assume. Outside of taking medications and going to sleep, it seems very difficult. A lot of grown-ass adults can't hide an affair with somebody who doesn't live with them, let alone somebody who does live with them. So at a certain point, I do believe you became aware of what was going on.
No.
And when I say that, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't change.
I know, but...
But I do believe that a reasonable person, and I consider you a reasonable person, right? Do you think you're a reasonable person?
Yes.
Would be aware that under her roof, sexual relation. The videos, the text messages, the images, they are all documented forever. This has been an ongoing thing. And at her age, I think she probably thought they were in a relationship. She probably thought they were in love because he her male attention, right? She just started liking boys, right? She just got a crush. Up until then, her crush.
Now, you saw her, she got a little uncomfortable, and notice she moved to the left, which was away from him. All right? To a little bit closer to that one, cushion, but she's still in the middle, but she positioned her bottom a little bit to the left because what she was hearing was extremely uncomfortable, because what he's tapping into is a guilt response. And he's essentially moderately trying to pull out of her an emotion of shame. Does it exist? Or is she past feeling that she's been aware of all of this stuff, and now and I'm just thinking what he may be thinking, is she trying to hide it for self-preservation, or does she really feel, or that, she can't feel? Maybe there's something, a lot of doctors will tell you about trauma bond. There's a lot of things that could be going 100% inside of her mind that she doesn't know how to get to it. And now I'm not making any excuses. I'm just, I agree with this investigator, and I've seen many people in this circumstance where you think they know, but some of them don't. They don't know, some of them. I'm not saying she's one of them. But what he's trying to do is now he's going to personalize it once again and try to get a reaction. And this has just been muted out.
At the same time, you guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room. But you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you established that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him, essentially. Whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea.
So I truthfully believe, this is my belief, I'm not speaking for other detectives, I'm not speaking for the sheriff's office, the state police department, or any other agency I've said. This is Kevin's belief. I believe
Notice her hands
that you became aware of your sexual relationship.
And they're a little more open.
Throughout this relationship, you became aware of it. And for whatever reason, your reasons are your reasons, whether it was discussed that it would stop, whether it was discussed how it would go, that you feel some sense of guilt. A lot of the news statements you've given kind of...
Okay, so so let's pick up on this idea and the verbiage that he used. Remember, a good investigator, the most important tool that you have, like a surgeon's important tool is a scalpel. For a great investigator, the most important tool that you have is the question. Okay, is the question. And so what you've heard from him just a second ago was he shifted directly into emotion. And he asked how you feel. Okay. Let me play that back just for a second so we're all on the same page here.
Established that rule for 3 years. She's already been dating him, essentially. Whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea.
So I truthfully believe, and this is my belief, I'm not speaking for other detectives, I'm not speaking for the sheriff's office, the state police department, or any other agency I've said. This is Kevin's belief. I believe that you became aware of your sexual relationship. I think at a certain point throughout this relationship, you became aware of it. And for whatever reason, your reasons are your reasons, whether it was discussed that it would stop, whether it was discussed how it would go.
Okay, so now what he's doing is he's selling a theory, meaning he's presenting a theory, and he's going to listen very carefully, and so is the other detective. You'll notice the other detective has planted his feet, and he's leaning in like his partner, and that's parroting, right? He's matching his partner. So what he's doing is he's leaning in, he's talking ahead of himself, i.e. through his hands, as well as his, focus on her. Okay? She's listening, but she doesn't trust him all the way, because you'll see how she's positioned herself a little bit further away from him. Okay. And now he's going personal. I'm going to give you my opinion, nobody else's opinion. So what he's doing there is he's projecting, this is about you and me, you and me. And he's looking for that response emotionally, how she feels about the totality of this problem.
That you feel some sense of guilt.
Right there.
A lot of the news statements you've given kind of, again, my opinion only, I don't speak for anybody else, whether it's in this room or out of this room, bother me. It seems like some of your emotion, up until this room, I think some of the emotion in this room is sincere. I think a lot of it's because I'm being an asshole.
You see, it's sincere. So what he's done is acknowledged the 50-50 where she's sitting. Okay. And then he self-deprecates himself by telling her, well, it could be me because, you know, I've been an Adam Henry in the past, you know, which is good cop, bad cop. Okay. And then he's going to kind of turn the heat up just a little bit more. And so he's beating himself up in front of her. So what he's trying to do is personalize the trust. Okay. Always remember one thing about trust. Trust is not earned. That is a misnomer. Trust is always shared. I will share me with you. You share you with me. In homicide, when there's jeopardy behind that, okay, when there's jeopardy behind it, I've trained many detectives that get out of this idea that you're going to earn somebody's trust. Just throw it out the window. It doesn't exist. Okay. However, if you share, and that's exactly what this guy is doing, and he's great. I mean, he's doing just amazing, textbook. And what he wants to do is to see if that emotion is exchanged, whether it's jeopardy, whether it's, you know, her self-deprecation, if it's about Maddie, who, you know, if it becomes one of these pushback about Stephan, where are her allegiance still? Okay, in this conversation, that's what he's measuring.
Telling you things you don't want to hear that shouldn't be said out loud. But when you talk to the news, when you talk to deputies, it feels, based on my experience in this job, that it's not sincere.
You see, he's used the word brilliantly again. It feels. What he's trying to do is see if she has the capacity to feel, i.e., express emotion. Okay. And there are a whole bunch of reasons for that in an interview.
I feel like some of your sadness
is
not real sadness. I feel like when you gave the interview at Fox 35, it was not sincere. Looking at that video one time, I didn't feel like your cries were sincere. And I'm not saying that because you're a bad person. I feel like sometimes people struggle to show real emotion when they're aware of what the truth is. So it has to be fake. This is demise for the past, let's say, 5 years, right? But her going missing, her disappearance, if you have knowledge of how it happened, where it happened, an inclination, that emotion's not going to feel sincere because you're already aware of what happened. It's almost becomes a lie at that point.
If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the fuck you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but
Now, what's the emotion she responds with? Hey, did you see how he was trying to talk about, I feel you're not being sincere. I feel. And he used that emotion response like 5 or 6 times. Textbook. How does she respond? Boom. Aggressive.
I was oblivious to everything.
Panic.
4 years?
Minimum. That's just how that far back the cloud goes. And I find it hard to believe for me that you were so worried.
Now she's pulling back in frustration. That's what that is. That's frustration. Okay? Meaning she's still in between the seat. Maybe they're not buying everything that I'm trying to project here.
about how many pills she took at night, but not where she slept or what relationship she was. His interest in her.
I thought we were all safe. I thought because in that he hadn't shown me anything so far. Like everything seems fine. Like he seems like he treated her like
he treats you. In his mind.
And that was a great move right there, where she says, he treated her, and then he, boom, put it right in there, like he treats you. Pause. Meaning self-reflection. Yeah. Okay. You got me.
It's so fucking disgusting.
So now he's in jail because of what we found on his phone, not because somebody came forward and reported.
That's emotional pain. When she reaches underneath that and under her shirt and starts rubbing, almost like a mom rubbing their baby, right? That is genuine emotion. I think it would be reflective towards her child. If I was sitting in this room, that's what I would be thinking.
That he abuse.
No, I know.
She's not old enough to consent. She's not old enough to have a thought process to even want anything that was happening to her. It's
That's
abuse.
guilt. She's processing guilt.
So he's in jail for that, but something caused what happened, right? We certainly murder, because we can call it a murder. She didn't die naturally. She didn't overdose. She didn't have a heart attack.
Now he's used the M word. And he did that on purpose. And now he's given the reasons why. And he's looking for that emotional response.
We circled murder on Monday. Something had to cause that. He's been having unrestricted sexual activity for a long time. He's getting what he wants from her, probably from you, and who knows whoever else, right? So it's not like he woke up or went to bed Sunday and he was like, you know what? I'm done with this, but I'm going to kill her. Something happened. People don't just wake up and you know what? They leave people, they break up with people, but usually things cause people to snap. Now what? You know what? And I'm in trouble, or I feel like I'm going to, or him being out. We can go even worse. She's pregnant.
That's what questions last night led me to believe when we started talking about her period.
I was told that her and her friend, and granted, I'm male.
Now what he did was he gave her a variety of options, meaning, this isn't a natural, this isn't that, this isn't blah, blah, blah. And then he gave her this idea of, okay, well, what's the trigger? How did this, happen? People just don't do this. They snap, so what he's doing is he's looking for the motive / the trigger. And he presents the question, pregnant, maybe she's pregnant, but he puts it out there on a platter. And then she responds,
I'm male, never had a period, but that somebody found it weird that they were no longer on the same cycle. Could be different because she's a teenage girl. Could be that she missed her period. Have you ever found a pregnancy test at home?
The one rhythm here that I'm picking up on with this mom is you have to present options to her, and that's the read technique of interview. That's what it's called. And what you do is you present options to the person that you're interviewing them. Okay, that hey, when you got down there, excuse me, when you got down there, what color was the water? Could it have been blue? Was it green? And what you're doing is you're just presenting these options for the individual to respond. Now, one of the things that if you get somebody in a pattern where they're not telling you the truth, okay, then one of the techniques in the read technique, and law enforcement can do this, is you create this option that is a total fabrication. Let's say somebody says, well, I was at the movie theater the other night at 1 o'clock in the morning and I was watching, yada, yada. One of the options could have been, or would be, something to the effect of, well, then you probably saw the paramedics respond when that guy had a heart attack. Pause. No matter how the suspect answers that question, it's a fabrication. It's a lie. Okay? It's an absolute lie. And so what he's doing is he's presenting these options. Okay? That's a technique.
That wasn't yours?
I have 2 underneath the bathroom sink, but I haven't seen if they're still there or not.
Okay. But you haven't seen any used ones in the trash?
No.
Their relationship hasn't changed?
No.
Okay. So what do you think happened Sunday? Other than him killing her?
That was great too. So what do you think happened other than him killing her? Touche.
What do you think made him snap?
Okay, that was brilliant. Her body position changed. Her hands went right back down to that area to cover. Okay? And she's not denying it. She's not saying, what are you talking about? I don't think he didn't kill her. Yada, yada, yada. This is a great opportunity for her to jump off of that couch and start saying exactly what he wants to hear, if it's there. Okay?
I don't know. Theories, I keep hearing
Tell me your theories, because here's the deal. We don't go home until she's found.
No, I know.
So what are your theories?
What I've heard is, what if she upset him and threatened to tell me and say that she was going to tell me, and he needed to shut that down. That's the only thing.
What do you think?
Bad guy. That's the thinker position. Usually a sign of deception.
I don't want to believe he killed her. But from what you guys are telling me, he must have killed her Sunday night and snuck her body out in the morning.
Now, that's a very interesting answer because she says, I want to believe. Okay? I want to believe.
That photo you guys showed me of her slumped in the car.
Still in deception.
You don't want to believe he killed her.
I want to believe she's still alive and that she got kidnapped.
You see, the detective, he picked up on it too. He says, you don't want to believe that he killed her. And she answers, I want to believe that, she's still missing. She's out there. Yet she's seen the photographs of her daughter in the car with the suspect. Okay. And that was a great move by Kevin.
But that doesn't seem like that's the
Well, that's
case
not
at
what
all.
happened. Yeah.
I know. My brain just wants to believe something else. I just want to believe she's still alive. She's out
The
there.
detective on the left, look at his right foot or his right leg. It's going 100 miles an hour. He wants answers.
Did he tell you he fucked up?
No.
Yeah.
He acted so normal that day. He was like, I'm so impressed. We got out of the house so early. Like, she made great time. We had so much time to go to McDonald's, but she didn't want.
Okay, now if I were those guys and I've been that guy 1,000 times, where you're going, okay, either A, he told her after the fact, or B, she figured it out on her own and she's scared to tell us. But they know that she knows more at this point. Something more is cooking inside of her.
His story was so fun. Like, every detail was so believable. He's just been lying the whole time. Like,
That's soothing.
What about that day in the car when you offered him a lawyer? Did you disclose anything to you there that made you feel like, oh fuck, he needs a lawyer?
No. He kept acting like he didn't know what was happening, and I'm like, don't you see forensics? Don't you see they took your phone? Like, something's happening. Like, I think they're gonna pin this on you. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, they have the wrong guy. Like, they're just honing in on the last person who saw her. But no, you guys knew more.
You never said, what did you do?
I've never asked him any of that.
Now, early on in the murder investigation, right, that night, that part of that could be, that a partial truth. Okay, that she's not thinking, that he's whacked her and has taken her life. But at some point, they believe, and I believe they think, that she crossed that threshold somewhere. What they're trying to figure out is, at what point did she cross that threshold? Are we dealing with somebody who is an accessory after the fact? And, there's a conspiracy here now to conceal, to hide, and all those other things, the murder of Madeline Soto. And so they're measuring her very clearly by, and they're going to turn the heat up here in a second. And you always know when the heat's coming, just like a fastball inside, because you'll start to hear the language, ratcheted up a little bit, which is never a good idea, to be honest with you, as an investigator, because when you start cussing, then you start losing some emotional control.
So even up until when we got here,
let her lose
to the police station, I was convinced that he hadn't done anything to her at all.
Because of him, or because of not wanting to believe she's deceased?
Because of him. Because I thought he was a good guy.
So up until this morning.
Do you guys notice there's like a peak, a drop into the valley, half peak, half drop into the valley, peak, half drop, all these emotional pushes, right? All these emotional pushes.
You still think that it's not?
No.
You're talking about the other day.
Up until
when we took him.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot what day of the week that was.
So we're still going through his phone, his drives, like I told you, all his socials. We can date back to 2020. Based on the videos, it appears that was the start of the victimization. Okay, are we going to find?
Okay, what he's doing now, obviously, is he's taking her back 4 years, 3 years, because they've had this information from the download on his phone. And what they're doing basically is they just turn the water up a little bit more, and it's starting to boil. And she's thinking and knowing exactly what they're doing. And this is raw emotion that she's starting to feel internally.
Anything in his phone with you?
You see the rocking motion? Just like she had during the press conference.
Participate in sexual activity with him?
No.
Regardless of you saying no or yes?
No, he's never asked that.
Okay. If we find pictures like that, is that going to surprise you? So if I'm in his Google Drive, if I have a sex crimes detective, a computer person look at his phone, and they tell me, hey Kevin, I found a picture engaged in sexual activity or borderline sexual activity, is that going to surprise you?
Yes, because that doesn't exist.
Okay. At any time during the course of your relationship, has he
That's
expressed that
response.
he's ever had sex with a child?
No.
Not-
Not a child, but when he told me when he was in high school, he graduated high school like later, like older than 18.
Okay.
He dated somebody younger than 18. I think she was 15. But I don't know how old he was, 19, 20. But he was an older kid in high school. He graduated late. But he had a really young girlfriend. Her name was Kendall. And I thought that was weird. I was like, that's a little too young. He goes, no, it's fine. We were in high school. Everything was normal. Her parents loved me. Blah, 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 blah. But that's the only one.
Have you ever gone through his phone?
Whom
Okay. If you had to, knowing Stephan, knowing where he lives, knowing where he goes, how he conducts his life, give me your top 5. Because I know you've had to have thought about it. If you haven't thought about it, that's another weird thing I got. Since Monday, right? We told you on Wednesday that we think he did it.
Yeah.
So from Wednesday till today, it's about 48 hours. Give me your top 5 places you think are possibilities based on knowing him.
Okay, that's a really interesting response because there's a lot to unpack here, guys. So let me take this pretty clearly. All right, so he shifted this gear or this messaging into if they ever find it, is anybody going to find anything on the phone going back to 2020? And if I want your opinion, basically, is what they ask her. She goes, no. Okay. And then they went into, let's talk about the top 5 areas. Okay. And he's going to talk about where she thinks Stephan would have dropped her body. Her response to that is fascinating. Did you guys catch it? Did you guys see what happened? Put into the chat. I'm going to look over here for a minute. Okay. Did you guys see what she did? All right. I'm going to back it up just for a second. And I want you to notice how she's confident in listening to him say, are they ever going to find anything on your phone? And she goes, no. And look at this confident pose. She's leaning into him. She's still covering. She's still in the middle of the couch. But when they start talking about the body and where it could be located, and this is where last night when I heard the word, the woods, I thought, I wonder if he told her after the fact. And that was just my thinking. I could be totally in left field. Okay. But this was another one of these indicators in my experience. The moment he starts dropping in, where do you think she falls back? Watch this.
Okay. If you had to, knowing Stephan, knowing where he lives, knowing where he goes, how he conducts his life, give me your top 5.
Like a tree.
Because I know you've had to have thought about it. If you haven't thought about it, that's another weird thing I got. Since Monday, right? We told you on Wednesday that we think he did it.
Yeah.
So from Wednesday till today, it's about 48 hours. Give me your top 5 places you think are possibilities
tree just
based on knowing him, based on knowing.
Okay, now think about what's going on here. All right. He says you may not even be thinking about it, gives her an out, and then he drops the concept on what are the top 5 areas. And she's like, what?
his path of travel. Where do you think?
And the other guy
It
picks
doesn't have to be based on evidence, just in your gut. Give me your top 5 places where you
She
think he.
readjusts herself again because she's trying to think about how I'm going to answer this. Deep breath. He's in the vein.
In this area,
Doesn't have to be this area.
No, I know.
Anywhere you want.
I'm saying in this area, I have no idea. Orlando, Kissimmee, no idea where he could have taken her. But his trip to Northport is weird as fuck.
Okay, so let's take a look at a real quick picture. Okay, I want to stop there just for a second. And what she does is she drops on him. This is where Madeline was, her body dump here, real fast. Okay, it is approximately 41 minutes, 25 miles, and a couple of different routes, right? One of them is 41, one of them is 45. From her residence to where she was, the body dump. And then this tab here shows us, and these are just approximates. This is down to his parents' house, and it is approximately 2 hours and 21 minutes. So now she's going to describe this 2 hour and 21 minute, fantasy place. And what's interesting is she's going to add, possibilities. Okay.
I feel like in Northport, he knows more people. He has more friends. There could be a place and somewhere there he could have stashed her. You guys said he went into a storage unit. That was
Okay, you see the detective Kevin, hand behind his head, like, okay, let's see what she knows. She's impersonalized her daughter where he could have stashed her. Okay. She hasn't used her name yet. She's not emotionally connected to her daughter at this point. She's talking about where her daughter's body can be. Okay. And it's almost as if it's like, yeah, I've got this old 10-speed bicycle. His mother, has a storage facility in North Point, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that would be a good place, to put, the bicycle. But here we're talking about a human body. And the detectives are thinking, okay, maybe somebody leaked it to her, i.e. Stephan. Maybe they had a conversation post homicide. And these are, this is what's going through their mind, because they're now going to go kick up the dust at this doggone storage facility. At some point, these two are going to, hit that text message, hey, we've got an address, get down there, or if they're already at the parents' house, I don't know the sequence. But if they're already down there, they're going to hit them, the other teams, saying, hey, get over to that storage facility. The girlfriend here is telling us, something. But the impersonalization of Madeline, I think, is pretty disturbing at this part of the interview.
would be another place to look. But there's plenty of woods around his house, around
Unsolicited. There's plenty of woods around his house. Now, that could be leakage. It could have been she was aware of it post when he came home. It could be a good guess. But the fact that she is now introduced this as her ideas of one of the 5 woods, which, by the way, we all know that's where she was discovered, in a wooded area off the one, whatever it was, 192. Okay. She thinks it could be one of her areas too, that he would have selected.
that exit is kind of
Same area, though.
secluded. Like
When you say his house, you mean his parents' house?
his parents' house, yeah.
You've been there? Have you seen the property?
Yeah, I've been there before.
Do they have land? Or is it in like a neighborhood?
So, it's not a neighborhood because they don't have HOA. You just buy the plot of land and build it. They don't have many neighbors.
Okay.
Or last I saw, I think there was a neighbor building right next door, but I don't know if they're done yet.
Now, what she's describing there is the ability to conceal. And she's projecting that. Deep breath,
I feel like he
process.
had more. There would have been more spots in Northport for her to be dumped. Because from what you guys have told me, he went to St. Cloud, he went to 192. Could you guys tell where he turned on on any of these roads? It's just that he was on the main road.
Okay, great police work here. She says what you guys told me, and then she asked a question. Remember I mentioned last night, sometimes that silence is just golden. Okay, we're seeing an example of that.
I didn't think he ever even knew.
Awkward pause. She picks it right back up.
Where St. Cloud was, because we've never driven down that way ever.
You live in Kissimmee, right?
Yeah, I know, but to me, he's never had a reason to ever drive down to St. Cloud, ever. There's no store or anything he goes to down there. Everything is in Kissimmee or Orlando by the mall.
Florida Mall?
Yeah.
LA Mall?
Yeah, Florida. I sent the last detective 3 spots. I could have recalled him telling me he wanted to visit. Monday, when he left the house in the afternoon and got the flat tire, he had mentioned a few of those shops, so I sent them over to you guys. But there's honestly nowhere I can think of. We've never gone to the only wooded area that we've ever gone together.
Again,
would be Shingle Creek Regional Park.
They didn't ask her about the woods. Not that I heard. Did anybody hear that? They asked her about the 5 areas that she felt he would choose. And it just seems like, she went from, over to here. And then she was like, well, yeah, but he really doesn't go over there. He comes over here, back down towards, the mall and everything like that. And isn't it true you guys said that he was off of the 192 and now she's into the woods?
Where the Pioneer Village is.
Okay.
That whole trail there, we had scooters, and he had an electric skateboard kind of thing. We would all cruise the creek.
You can bet that when the call came in about the tire, okay, that they added to that conversation of, hey, see if there's a wood line or see if there's something out there. We just got a gut feeling that there's something more going on around the woods.
Explore. We've taken a canoe up that creek before. Then the Kissimmee Trail. There's a trail that runs right behind my house starts right behind my house and goes all the way to that bridge on John Young Parkway that says Kissimmee on it. That whole trail, we've done that as well.
She's given us her wood adventures.
That's the only places I could think that he may have gone, because that's where I know I've gone with him before. But anywhere else, I have no idea.
Now, that's interesting because she just said where I've gone with him before. Okay. But earlier, she mentioned, part of one of her 5 was up by her parents' house or his parents' house. And so I don't know. My thought process right now, if I'm sitting there listening to this going, okay, did this guy tell her post homicide? Sorry, it's just ingrained in me. 187 is homicide in California. My mind would be going too, and I know Kevin's is because I watched it earlier. I just love the way he's just sprawled out like he's sitting in a recliner with his remote control in his right hand, and he's just going to go beep, pause, boop, fast forward, boop.
So our ERT team, it's called Emergency Response Team. It's just a group of people who search areas. It doesn't have to be wooded, can be wooded, can be swampy. They've been out for 3 days. They're going to be out all weekend.
Turning the water up.
They will eventually, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in 2020.
Now, this is the same analogy which he did earlier about, if there's something on your phone, we've got the evidence guys. And here he's saying, well, you do know there's like a bazillion people out there. And at some point, this is all going to come to an end. We're going to end up finding her. And he's going to go, boop. So what do you want to tell us?
26. Okay. I don't think you want that to take too long.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you'd like to have a funeral. I'm sure you'd like to have some kind of memorial service. The last thing you want is for us to call you in a year and say, hey, we found remains. We don't know.
Okay, this is her. She doesn't like him. Remember, right there, we just saw she turned away from him again because he was the deliverer of bad news, and that's usually a consciousness of guilt. So what he just did was, beep, I just turned the TV back on just to let you know there's 1,000 people behind me doing 1,000 different things, okay? And she's like, oh, crap, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
Here we go.
That may not be something you thought about till just now, but I can tell you, being someone who investigates homicide, that is something that everybody has to come think about eventually. If you can think of anything that would assist us in making that happen for you today versus 2 years from now, regardless of why you know or how you know, we need it.
And what he's doing here is he's just adding more frosting on the cake to say, by the way, this cake is at least going to expire maybe 2 or 3 years from now. We hope that the information you're giving us now will keep it fresh and that it won't have your name on it. A happy birthday, Jenn, in a couple of years from now.
I know. If I knew anything, I would tell you right now. I promise. I want her back so bad. I don't want to think about planning a funeral.
But the 2 investigators haven't moved. I just got a message.
What has your communication been like with his father since this?
I've limited contact over the last 2 days because I know too much and I don't want to tell him.
Okay, that was a purposeful left turn with a blinker. He dropped on her. what he did is put his blinker on and said, okay, let's make a turn. And he immediately went into, tell us about the communication with your dad. He shifted her just for a second.
You don't want to tell them what we've told you, or you don't want to tell them what you know?
No, I don't want to tell them what you guys have told me. I can't.
You see, that was a slick question too. You don't want to tell them blah, 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 or you don't want to tell them what you know.
I don't want to share it's so difficult because I've known them for just as long as I've known Stephan. They feel like absolute shit right now. I know that they kind of got into a fight because Chris started, are you sure we know our son? Are you sure we know our son? I don't think we know him at all. The mom was defending him, but now with everything, with the evidence on the phone coming out, they know. They know he's a piece of shit.
We've talked to his dad, and his dad knows as much as you know. He knows his son's a rapist. He knows his son's a murderer. He's talked to us. He's been very open with wanting to help in any way he can, whether that's technological, whether that's verbal.
Yeah, he even had, I was with him when he turned in his knife to you guys. He remembered he had a knife on him and gave it to you guys. I thought that was...
Have you talked to Chris about Stephan needing a lawyer?
Yeah.
When?
I think when you guys showed me the
Man, did you guys hear that inflection change? Wow. From way up here to, I'm selling a box of eggs. I'm not really sure. Holy cow.
the photos.
So we showed you photos of Stephan raping. And
No.
the first thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer?
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening.
Trigger warning.
And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's fucking happening. But I kept thinking, they're going... I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her.
Okay, now he's shifting because he's going to get serious here. She's trying to convince him. Notice we got to lean again off of the couch. Still in the middle. Still in the middle. And so what he's doing is he's matching her. Okay. Great investigative technique.
And that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person. But you weren't. You're not.
We showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a blowjob to a grown-ass man and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you, but then you just thought she was missing. And we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. A blowjob is rape. Not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual. And you prioritized him again. You prioritized him by offering him or telling his dad to get him a lawyer. Not, what the fuck did he do? Not, hey, we need to figure out what happened. No, let's protect Stephan.
I was in shock.
No, it's not shock. That is your natural instinct to protect Stephan. Okay? And if that's naturally how you react, that's fine. But that goes into what I've been telling you this whole conversation is I don't believe a lot of the things you're saying, and I don't believe a lot of the things you say you weren't aware of. And that is because you've now shown me twice that your first reaction, no matter what you were told or shown, missing and we're seizing the cell phone, or we're showing you pictures of her giving him a blowjob, your first reaction is to protect Stephan. So now, murdered by Stephan, you're aware of this, you were shown pictures of this, you were shown pictures of her body in his car with a seatbelt on, right? We have played it out for you. Now you're in a stage where he's in jail, you know she's passed away, and now you can feel emotion, right? Until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy. You just said, I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say blowjob, of his penis in her mouth, and your first reaction was, fuck. Oh my, victimized? No. She's being abused? No. It's Stephan needs a lawyer. Who the fuck cares if we think he killed her? He's.
I don't know why I said that.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Because right now you know Stephan killed her. You know Stephan's been raping her. You know without her body, can he be charged with murder?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't know what we can do. Do I think we can charge him with murder? It's not up to me. Should he be charged with murder? Yes.
Please.
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes.
I know.
Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof and you acted like it didn't exist. And knowing the victimization, knowing how ongoing it is, knowing that you saw a picture of it, not just us telling you, not me and him saying, hey, listen, he's being, I think they had a bad relationship. They showed you a fucking picture of it. And you still protected him. So how am I supposed to not think that the thought process in your mind is until she's found, Stephan can't be charged with murder? Because we both now know that you don't want him to be charged with murder because you want him to have a lawyer.
No, I don't. That
Part
was
of the blowjob.
That was
then.
He
can't be charged with murder.
That was then. Everything that you guys have shown me since then and have shown me that he's
so we had to show you a picture
time.
of her dead in a car for you to finally not take his side?
Cheryl asked, Chris, sounds like you believe she's deceptive in what she said. Do you believe she's conspired with Stephan? I think she has selected the middle of that couch, Cheryl, from the beginning, because she knows more than she's been giving. And now that he's confronting her, you haven't heard one concept about denial. That she has said, no, I don't want that to happen. I want him. Okay. Now, eventually what ends up happening is because he puts her in a corner to where she has no option. And by the way, this is all the Reed technique, this interview style. The Reed technique, this is called confrontation. Okay. In an interview is where he's putting all the facts on the table. Okay. This is what you know. This is what you know. This is what you've seen. This is what you've done. This is what you've heard. Go ahead and give me an answer. And you notice she hasn't stopped him in the middle of all this and said, no, you know what? You're right. I haven't called for a lawyer for him. You know, I didn't do this or that. And he tells her under her roof, all of this has been taking place under her watch. And she's not, responding back with, what you would expect to see. And what you would expect a mother to see is to come off of that couch and say, how dare you accuse me of allowing this guy to kill my daughter? Who do you think you are? And that's what in this interview technique, that is called a confrontational approach. So you'll notice the other guy, he hasn't even moved his position, the other detective on the left side, because he's watching her response. Okay. And I can tell you from much experience that innocent people will jump off that couch and let you have it.
So the last time you would have been Sunday evening? Okay.
And I take into account, from folks where, she's not mentally, emotionally secure. She operates out of fear. Okay. But what he's asking her to do and what he's hoping to see is that same emotion match about her daughter as she did in the response of, you've seen the picture of your daughter being molested by this man. You've seen the picture of your daughter being driven around deceased by this man. And when you see these things, the first thing you come to is, he needs a lawyer. That's not insecurity. That's not fear. Okay. That's protection. Why? And so now the question is, why would she protect him? I guess, right? I guess we need to maybe ask that question, because that's what they're trying to get to.
You're fine. Take a minute. Okay? While you take a minute, I was going to ask you earlier, has anybody reached out to you during the time that we've been investigating this to talk about Maddie or anything else? Negative, positive, neutral?
My best friends have all been in contact with me just to try to help me. They're setting up Facebook groups, flyers,
No negative interactions with the public or anything? Nobody's reached out with tips or accusations or anything like that?
Not that I've seen. I've been avoiding social media because my family's telling me to not go on.
Would you be okay with our digital people looking at your phone to verify there's no stuff coming into social?
Okay, so this is a great question, Jenny. Chris, this is a serious question. What would it have meant if Jennifer sat on the right, left side of the couch? Okay, so if she's
Things like that.
if she's right-handed, that's her dominant side. Most confident people, okay, who are going to sit there and tell you the truth, for her, it would have been on the left side because he's the primary interviewer. Okay. If she didn't know who was going to be the primary or whatever, then either side would be acceptable. But what it does is it projects a center of, the person that you're speaking to. So the fact that she's chosen, I'm not sure where I want to go here. Okay. And if we watch the totality of this interview, it started out with, like this. Okay. I think where she selected that couch positioning. Okay. She knew, and look where her hands are again. Her hands are covering her private parts. Okay. That's a signal. Okay. That there could have been some SA or something connected up here for her, either maybe in Maddie's past, and she is, being standoff. That's what this is. It's a comfort position. You're not going to, you're not going to see, you're not going to do. Okay. And she's projecting this. Okay. But as she starts to get uncomfortable during this conversation, you see she shifts herself away from the interviewer. She moves away from him because she's not comfortable with that confrontation. So that does show a little bit of insecurity internally for her, but not enough for her to completely move out of that position. She is focused on, you know what? I may know more here. And towards the end of this interview, we see that's exactly what's going on. So thank you for that question.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll plug it in, they'll do a forensic download of it so they have the data. That way they can go through it and say, we did receive things, we didn't receive things, here's the communications in and out, things like that, so we can verify that for you.
I think she's in denial too, and there is something mentally.
030288.
No question about that, Andrew. I agree. The question is, at what point did she become in denial? That's what they're trying to figure out. Is it possible that Stephan came home after killing her and the cops, after the cops got involved, he turns to her and says, look, I'll kill you too? Is that a possibility? It could be, and that's what they're trying to get to. Okay. Is she involved in the homicide, i.e., does she participate, i.e., move the body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I'm not going to give you my answer yet till the end. Okay. But this indication, again, she has not moved. And what she just did there is hand the phone over to say, yeah, go ahead and dig through it. Get everything you want.
My birthday.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
My birthday's tomorrow. Right?
Today's the first. I didn't even know. This is like the first. This is the worst birthday ever.
So let's think about this a little bit deeper. She has seen photographs of her child in compromising positions and after death, after life. All right? Now, she is able to control herself post, the homicide to the point where she's shown these photographs and then expresses no emotion until confronted. So the question is, in their minds, is there more behind the scene, like the Wizard of Oz? Okay. Like the Wizard of Oz. Is there more behind the scenes that we're not seeing yet? And she is responding every time there's a movement from the police, meaning right here, he took her phone, took it out, and she had an emotional response. He confronts her. about her unemotional response, and she has an emotional response.
Then we can get that going so we can get it back to you before we're out of here. We don't keep it from you.
So I think he's going to get nitty gritty here.
So you said about 9 o'clock on Monday you wake up.
Yeah. I wake up. I have a doctor's appointment. I leave sometime between 9:30 and 9:45. And I head over there. It's blood work appointment. The appointment's for 10:15, but they take a while to see me.
Where was your appointment at?
LabCorp. And
Now we all know LabCorp's a blood test. It's a blood testing facility.
do you want me to tell you exactly which one?
Sure.
Oh wait, I have my phone.
When we get it back, we'll get back to it.
It's, if you need to Google it, it's the LabCorp across the street from the Loop in Kissimmee.
Okay, by the loop, got it.
Had my appointment. I finished there sometime between 11:15. Then I headed home. When I got home, Stephan was there. I had talked to him a little bit earlier while I was waiting for my blood work appointment, and he let me know, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I left my phone at home by accident. School, everything went great. She got up super early, got up really quick."
Now you see what they did on purpose here was reshift the conversation. They went, and when he dropped that phone out, what probably happened is the rest of the team was out there and say, okay, let's take her back. Let's take her back to what she did that day. Okay. And that's why that's why we have another behavior change. And she went into that position of comfort again, where her hands are on her lap. It's still covering, her lower parts. And she's just kind of a matter of fact again. Okay. That's not mental illness. This part is not mental illness. This part is a very controlled, I'm having a conversation with somebody. This is the lady who can teach school as a substitute teacher. Okay. I think, a lot of people are saying, well, she's mentally ill. Well, then why is she teaching school? She obviously has control mechanisms that allow to get in there, okay, and teach school with a bunch of kids around her all day for 8 hours. So now we're talking about the death of her daughter. If at any time you want to control yourself, okay, that's the time to do it. Okay? Because that's the time to say, that guy killed my daughter, yada, yada, yada.
She slept most of the way in the car. I asked her multiple times if she wanted McDonald's, but she said no. Because that was the plan, was that they were going to stop at McDonald's that morning and go get breakfast.
Right.
And he said that he had gone to the vape shop and they were closed and they didn't open. So he waited there for a while and left, and then said he was going to go back later. When I saw him at the house, everything was normal. We were chatting, we were talking, he was acting normal. He was sitting in my computer chair just messing around. We're here.
Sorry, I hit the bad button.
That you're still not protecting Stephan. I got all these people out who think he killed her. He's photos of Stephan raping.
Karen just came.
No.
First thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer.
Sorry about that, everybody. My bad.
I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped.
We don't know.
Reason to ever drive down to St. Cloud, like ever. There's.
We don't know.
I got to get back to where we were. I apologize.
Okay. That may not be something you thought about till just now, but I can tell you, being someone who investigates homicide, that is something that everybody has to come think about eventually. If you can think of anything that would assist us in making that happen for you today versus 2 years from now, regardless of why you know or how you know, we need it.
No, I know. If I knew anything, I would tell you right now. I promise. I want her back so bad. I don't want to think about planning a funeral.
What has your communication been like with his father since this?
I've limited contact over the last 2 days because he was taken.
Move forward.
Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person, but you weren't. You're not.
We showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a blowjob to a grown-ass man, and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say blowjob, of his picture of what he was doing to you, that you had any care in the world other than I want that motherfucker to die. Whether you believe in the death penalty or not, he protected him. So now we're talking about her disappearance and where her body is. Why do I believe that you're still not protecting him? Because you say so? Because you can't explain why you protect him. You can't explain what is inside of you that makes you protect Stephan. And you may never be able to explain it. But eventually we're going to have to figure it out, because you haven't convinced me that you're still not protecting Stephan. I got all these people out here searching. I haven't seen my own kid in days because I'm looking. I truthfully believe that I can't go home and see my kid is because you're protecting. I can't go because you're people sitting in the woods just waiting for me to tell them where to go, but I can't because I think you're in trouble.
I don't care about him. I want him to go to jail. I want the worst thing possible to happen to him in jail. I know what happens to predators in jail. Like, I'm ready for that. Like, please. I don't give a fuck about him. I'm not protecting him.
But you knew he was a predator when you got shown the picture. And then you text his dad that he needs a lawyer, and you hope that he invoked, was the words I was told.
What?
Now, an interesting choice of words from her about that is the statement, I want him to go to jail. I'm ready for that. So at what point was she not ready for it?
What?
You hope that he didn't talk to us. He needs a lawyer.
No.
All over a picture. You didn't care. You didn't care then. Oh, whether sex isn't important to you, that wasn't anything close.
I knew what I saw was
He was
terrible.
a predator right then and there. That's the day you found out he was a predator.
Yeah.
Yes. And after you found out he was a predator, did you not say he needed a lawyer?
I did.
So why today, Friday at almost 3 o'clock, 5 days into the disappearance, 2 days since you probably found out, or 1 day since you found out she was murdered, do I believe you that you're not telling me where he went, or that he didn't disclose to you where she was, or what caused this to happen? Is listen.
That right there is what I've been saying, is they think he told her after the fact, and they think she knew after she was murdered. They don't, my opinion, I don't think they think she participated. I think this whole interview with her has been about, he told her something. What is it? And the fact that she just made a comment a little bit ago about, I'm ready for that, indicates something that she wasn't ready for. I believe, though, that they are pressing her because he told her where the body was. And they hadn't found her yet during this interview.
I know you know I've been doing whatever, or listen, this fucking happened. How do I believe that that didn't happen when everything you've shown me is protect Stephan? Now,
yeah, and nobody's questioning her complacency in relationship to the victimization of Maddie. Okay, that's a separate issue, and I agree but this part is about her complacency in relationship to, you let all this happen. Maybe you do, maybe you don't know, but we'll deal with that later. Where's the body? We are now, this whole investigation has shifted. You've seen the pictures, you've heard, you've talked to. Where is the body? That's what they're pressing her on.
now once if you show priority in this conversation, in this investigation, you're coming here looking for her, you reported her missing.
They're
For not doing
personalizing
that.
Maddie.
But outside of you reporting her missing, and I may be wrong, I haven't been involved in all aspects of it, but you have not shown me one bit that you prioritize her over him. And that sucks. Not because we're working our asses off for your family, not because we have people out there sweating their asses off for your family, but because I feel like all I care about is your care is to make sure Stephan doesn't get held fucking accountable.
Well, I don't care anymore.
Anymore. Because we're being...
You see how he caught that too? That was one of these, it's the exact same statement, and here he caught it, and he goes, any more? What? Okay? And
assholes because I'm not being nice.
No.
But up until Thursday, it was okay that she gave him a blowjob. No big deal. Get a lawyer.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't okay. I was honestly, I saw that and I was in shock. And I don't know why my first reaction was to tell him to get a lawyer, but I saw that and I was in shock and I was just like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe.
It's easy to believe it now. We showed you pictures of it. You can't deny it anymore.
Exactly.
The sex was okay. The murder's not. At least that makes sense.
None of that's okay.
I want to know what it is, and not because I think you're a bad parent. Because I think you're.
She's not crying for Maddie. She is not crying for Maddie. She is crying because she's stuck in the middle of all of this. I have not heard her say her daughter's name one time in this interview.
I think you're a bad. Dead or alive, she's missing. Her body is out there. Her body needs to be recovered so she can have a proper burial, a proper funeral. She needs to be laid to rest. Your family needs to be able to mourn her, and we need that information. That is life. That is not life of the law. That's not life of the sheriff's office. That is common decency. That is what she deserves. That is what you deserve. That is what your family deserves. But the longer that happens, the longer it takes us to find her, the less likely that's going to be for you guys. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I truly am. But deep down, you haven't shown me that I am.
I don't know what I need to show you.
Prioritize her over Stephan. Stephan. Think of places he would have dumped her body. Think of places he went, things you've talked about, things you've discussed, whether that's this week, last week. Don't put it in your mind that he's been victimizing you, or don't put in your mind that I'm being a dick. What can I think about to find out where Stephan put her?
I love homicide guys.
You know more about where he goes, what he's doing, or what he would
brutally
do than you
honest.
realize. That's natural, not because I'm telling you, but because that's natural. I have best friends. I know more about them than I think I know about them. I just need to sit down and think about it. So I need you to sit down and think about it. Whether you need a minute, we're not in this room, whether you want to do it with us in this room, we need to leave here with an idea of where we can go look for. That is one thing we can agree on.
I've sent you the list of the stores that he may have stopped at and didn't stop at. The only outdoorsy places I can think of that we've ever gone to that he would know about would be Shingle Creek or Kissimmee Trail. I don't know if he knows where Lake Toho is, but that could be another option.
Because you think it's a wooded area? Because it's a place you guys have talked about together?
Because it's a wooded area with a lake, with gators. Like,
See, she talked about a wooded area again. He brought it up because she had brought it up before, and it's still in the back of his mind. What a great investigator. Love these two.
we haven't discussed anything. This topic, I never asked him if he directly. I never thought he could have. I always assumed the best in him. But I didn't ask him directly. I didn't even suspect that until you guys showed me that picture upstairs.
Okay, you see, this is going to be really good right now because what he did is he got in the vein, he finally hit it, and now all of a sudden there's going to be information. The truth is going to come further to the surface. She's leaning up off of the couch. That is a good sign.
We're here. I don't know. I'm just thinking of, if I name places, it's going to be wooded areas that I can think of, but he hasn't told me anything. Like, he has not told me, or we haven't discussed.
So him going to 192 that day, all you know is that he went to 192.
He said he wanted to visit House Card Rules. That was one of he named 3 stores, and that's one store I can remember him listing on that list.
House Card Rules?
Yeah, I don't have my phone.
We'll get your phone a little bit.
That's
House Card
new.
Rules. What kind of store is that?
I don't know if that's like a video game or card game or board top game store.
But that's on 192.
Close to one.
Okay.
I think close to 182 somewhere.
And he said he wanted to go to 3 stores.
Yeah. But he did tell me that I just don't remember which one.
Are there woods in that area? Are you familiar with 192?
No, not.
Now think about this again, what these investigators had to go through to learn about these 3 new stores in that geographic area that she's known about. And so this is great. Again, great police work.
Where these stores are, I have no idea.
Other than you came up with wooded areas that you know of.
Yeah.
You came up with wooded areas that you think he could double body in.
Because I've been there with him, yeah.
I need to know wooded areas where he travels. Right? You're saying we've been there so she could be there. So that tells me she's not there. It tells me it's a waste of a search.
Okay.
Because when I put 90 plus people there, that's all day. Right? We got to coordinate that. We got to put them there. So we need fruitful searches.
Yeah.
So I need likely places that you think, and I need places you think based off of conversations with him, not because you can picture in your mind that there's trees there.
Okay.
Bingo. Did you guys just hear that? I need to know the conversations you've had with him about these wooded areas. And how does she answer? Okay. There's more, folks, in River City.
There's no conversation I can think of where he's named interest in being anywhere near woods or it being along his way.
He said he got a flat tire. Tell me about the flat tire you got.
So he said he got a flat tire. I'm not sure when he got a flat tire, but he said he got a flat tire and then came directly home, and he got home around 2:40. So flat tire, he said he was driving down 192 and it just popped and shredded and fell apart.
Okay. This is great. This is great. And see, this is where they knew this information. It was there. And now she's regurgitating essentially like, well, yeah, he told me he got a flat tire on the 192, you know. I'm not even going to say anything.
And he pulled over into a plaza and changed a tire for the first time in a very long time, and said he hurt himself doing it. The frame of the car, something came down on his finger.
All his lies, I don't care, but I want to know what you question him about. Why was he there? What was he doing? There's no way you're the most trusting woman in the world. You just don't ask clarifying questions. I know no relationship I've ever been in is that trusting. He just tells you he's gone at 3 a.m. getting a fucking Wawa, and you're like, ah, whatever, bet. Same thing with this. It's like, oh, yeah, I got a flat tire, I was here. Why is he at these places? Do you not question him? Why were you on 192? Why did you dip out at 3 a.m. with my car?
I didn't know
Like
he
this,
did that.
because this is 2 times he went to 192. He went to 192 the day she disappeared, right? He's roaming, looking for her, south of where she went missing, because supposedly she went missing. And 192 is south of where that is.
And I
not very likely that that's the route she went on foot or abducted, and that him driving around is somehow going to locate her.
And he did tell. I did question that. I was like, when I asked him where he searched and he said 182, I said, why? That's nowhere where she would be. And he didn't give me a clear answer, and I don't know why I didn't push it. I just thought he was being stupid and oblivious, because I don't see him as the smartest man. Like, I don't. I let him do what he does, but I don't trust a lot of his. Is the word judgment? I'm not sure, but I just don't trust that he makes the smartest decisions sometimes. Like, he likes to act like the smartest man in the room, but I don't think he is.
Do what he does. Meaning?
I'm sorry?
You said, I let him do what he does.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
If he wants to just get up and go to the store, I'll ask where you're going, but I won't stop him. Just let him go on his way. I'll let him do what he wants to do.
What do you think happened?
Okay, that's a loaded. That was perfect, because you've got her locked into telling them, I let him do what he does. And so now they're going to take advantage of that. This is a great move by this investigator again, because now he just throws out an open question. Well, what do you think happened?
Monday to now. You know she's deceased. We showed you pictures of she's deceased. We know that she was probably deceased Sunday into Monday. You didn't see her Monday morning.
I still don't want to believe she's deceased. I know you showed me pictures, but
for the purpose of this conversation, I need you to believe it, because I need you to figure it out. I need you to tell me what you think happened to her.
I think he killed her that night.
How?
I don't know.
Okay, so that tells us that she has had that feeling, that information, and she's even got it down in her head as to what night it could have been. Okay. She's repositioned herself a little bit, but she's still, now you'll notice she's leaning over, to the other side, just a tad. She's still in the middle. Okay. But now what she's doing, even though she's been shown photographs, even though, she's saying, well, I don't want to believe it happened. And he tells her, okay, well, for the sake of this conversation, i.e., you better wake up and smell the coffee. We're here. And she says what she's saying here. I think he killed her, and I believe it was that night.
Could it be possible that he drugged her? Could he have choked her? I just don't know how you kill someone and don't leave a mess or don't leave evidence, or... I mean, was there a mess? Was there evidence? I haven't gone upstairs. I don't know what you guys. I barely went into the house today, so I don't know what.
I need to know what you think happened.
I think he killed her.
Okay, so she mentions strangulation. She mentions, could he have drugged her? And it just so happens that he has Google searches about the type of narcotics used to knock people out. And the medical examiner indicates that they're that cause of death, manner of death, strangulation, homicide.
You mentioned drugged her, you mentioned other things. Explain your reasoning behind those assumptions and we'll move forward day by day.
So he had access to benzos and I think Lunesta.
What are those? I'm not familiar with that.
Benzodiazepines are anxiety medications which relax you and can make you sleepy.
Okay.
And Lunesta, I think, is a sleeping medication, like for insomnia. So I don't know if it's possible he gave her something and she was drugged. In those photos that you showed me where you're saying she's dead, maybe she was drugged. But if she is dead and it was done upstairs, I could just only imagine that he choked her. I don't know how else you would kill someone and not leave a mess.
Think about the power of that statement from a mother. I can only imagine that he choked her without leaving, because that'd be the only way without leaving a mess. She is describing her daughter being the life being taken out of her. She's describing her daughter leaving the earth. And she's sitting there like it's just one of those things.
Do you think he got her out?
I have no idea because roommates come in and out of the house at any given point in the morning and we don't know their schedules. They can come in at any time. You guys showed me a picture, I think, of him or her in the car at 7:30 in the morning. My roommate left the house. She's the one who leaves the earliest. She left at 7:45. So like, what if he had waited a little longer? She would have caught him with carrying a body out of the house. How did he do that without being caught or seen?
You see, she's done all the math. She's done all the math. And what they're still doing is going, well, what they're doing is she's done all the math. And so now they're trying to figure out, is she part of the equation?
That's what I don't understand because, like, did you guys check and see if any of my neighbors have Ring cameras? Any? Nothing?
I don't know what data we've gotten from them, but at this point I need to know what you think happened to her. I don't need you to ask us what we found.
Okay.
What we found has happened. I need you to come up in your words, in your mind, what do you think happened that night into Monday, because we do not know. We do not know if her murder occurred Sunday or Monday. All we know is that when you went to bed, they went to bed together, and she's no longer here. So I need to know what you think happened to her, how he got her out of the house, where he went, how he got her into the car, what is your thought on what happened.
I think she was killed Sunday night into Monday morning. Putting the leash on the dog because the way the dog reacted.
Okay, hang on for a minute. I tried to stop the video. Hang on. That was the good part. And I hit the doggone pause for a second. Hang on. I got to get back to where we were.
But he did tell me that I just don't remember which one.
Are there woods in that area? Are you familiar with one?
I'm sorry again, guys. That was my bad. I was trying to hit the doggone pause button.
Can you guys tell me if this is true? Because I recall a family member telling me something, like my sister,
Wait a minute.
any changes of clothes with him, so I know he's repeated his outfit over and over. It's possible he could have come home all sweaty and disheveled after the supposed changing the tire thing, but I wasn't home to see that.
Through your, we called it a fiction novel, you pieced together what you think happened based on a suspicious activity, and you ended with, you think he put her in your trunk and brought her to Northport.
Yeah.
I know I asked you to make assumptions, but now I want to know why. He was doing on 192. He was doing here. He was doing here. He was doing in Northport. What do you think?
5. So like, what if he had waited a little longer? She would have caught him with the carrying a body out of the
Okay,
house.
we'll go from here.
How did he do that without being caught or seen?
Sorry.
That's what I don't understand, because like, did you guys check and see if any of my neighbors have Ring cameras? Any? Nothing?
So what I was
I don't
going
know what
to
data
do,
we've gotten from him, but
he
at this
sets
point,
her
I know
up.
what you think happened to her. I don't need you to ask us what we found.
Right here.
What we found has happened. I need you to come up in your words, in your mind.
Gives her a
What do
theme.
you think happened that night into Monday? Because we do not know. We do not know if her murder occurred Sunday or Monday. All we know is that when you went to bed, they went to bed together, and she's no longer here. So I need to know what you think happened to her, how he got her out of the house, where he went, how he got.
Okay, so this is a really good technique. So a lot of times you ask somebody that's committed a homicide, or at least you think, that they may know more information than they're going to give you. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. And one, the way he's doing it, and another way is saying, okay, hypothetically, what do you believe happened? Or if you would have done this, how would you have done this? Okay. And I've had suspects say, hypothetically, you say, yeah, of course, hypothetically. And then they answer the question. And that's what he's doing here. He's setting her up to basically tell a narrative. Okay? And that narrative can be matched against the evidence. And if they line up, which I don't know if they're going to or not, but if they do line up, okay, bingo, you're in the vein.
Got her in the car. What is your thought on what happened?
I think she was killed Sunday night into Monday morning. I'm thinking he carried her out of the house. I don't know how he didn't get caught by any of my roommates or no one heard. You're saying he drove all around town. I'm not sure where he could have gone.
And then him coming home and leaving, and coming home and leaving, what do you think? Knowing that he killed her.
That's suspicious as fuck.
It is suspicious as fuck, but if you're writing a book, what do you write? Let's say this is a fiction novel, right? You're now aware that he killed her, so now you can piece together a story of what happened, right? You don't know the story because you're not him, and you tell me he hasn't told you, so it's not real. So you're telling me what you think,
Yeah.
right? We know he killed her. We know he drove out of there Monday morning. We know he discarded her backpack in the trash dumpster. We know he discarded her laptop and one shoe, right? So all her property was discarded to look like she's gone. That way he doesn't have evidence with him. They leave. You've been told that they drove around Orange County, Osceola County, wherever it was. We've pieced that together throughout the week, all right? He's told you where, at least in his version of where he was and what he was doing.
On purpose.
Right? But then you have all these suspicious times of when he's left and come back and he's gone here and gone there. So what do you think he was doing on all these suspicious times? He's roaming 192. What do you think? Knowing what you know now we can play. You know she's dead. You know that we've given you information. What do you think, knowing what you know, he was doing on 192? He was doing here. He was doing here. He was doing in Northport. What do you think?
So him leaving early in the morning and driving around aimlessly somewhere. I feel like he stashed the body at that time. When he came back and then left again. But see, it's daytime. Like, how could you move a body or move something in daytime and not be seen? But like, I feel like he went back to check to make sure he did a good job, or to move the body again. I don't know.
Man, that's some specific information. And she is projecting that she's telling the truth. She's leaning forward. And the body. What about her daughter?
But him leaving the house multiple times without his cell phone is sketchy as fuck. It's so suspicious.
Which is an intentional act. It's not accidental, so that can play into what you think happened.
Yeah. Do you think phone being on the dresser?
It was intentional. Her cell records and her cell data from her cell phone show it is not common for her to leave her phone at home. It is common for her to go to school with her. No teenager leaves their phone at home. It's what they're attached to it.
She's left her phone home multiple times.
Her cell data shows that normally it goes with her, so that's intentional. You know it's intentional because he left his too.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's an accident last Friday, this Monday, was not an accident.
Yeah.
So you think that he dumped her when he was driving around? You think that when he left, he went to check her body?
Possibly.
Okay.
Why would you go back out to 182 without your cell phone? Like,
I don't disagree. So
Yeah, I mean, why would you go back up, without your cell phone? Yeah, I don't disagree. Why would you think he would go back without his cell phone?
goes out to 192. We think he may have checked where he dropped her or dumped her.
That's what we should be asked on the
Tells you he's
stand.
roaming around aimlessly. Right?
yeah.
So that's twice on 192 in one day, because he went to look at the House of Cards bullshit or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and then he went to do the roaming to look for her on this random highway that he never goes to. Okay? We go into the next day and the next day. Think of the suspicious things he's done. Tell me what you think he's doing.
Him grabbing my phone and trying to log into his emails, that seems kind of suspicious. What was he trying to see? What was he trying to do? The thing is when he had my cell phone, now that I think back to it, he had something wrapped around it, so the phone was under a blanket, and he was like this.
I just
I
happen to
tried looking at the
remember
screen
that.
at one point, and I could see an email. But I
No,
was
And
like,
that was the cell phone we took from you today, or you gave us today.
yeah. Can you guys tell me if this is true? Because I recall a family member telling me something, like my sister. Was the last thing searched on it Amber Alert?
Her cell phone has Amber Alert searches in it, but I looked through her cell phone last night. I do believe that she may have been clicking on links for Amber Alerts that came through. I don't think she was actually searching them.
Okay.
They could have just been links she clicked on.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure if that was him Googling on her phone about Amber Alerts or if that was her.
That we will never know. He is not obviously cooperating.
Can you could you guys explain what happened yesterday?
Before that, I need you to continue going away.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but she just described the the murder of her child. And she's just had such a shift, into, so, and this is obviously a crazy comment, but, are there any movies on tomorrow night at 9? And do you guys like popcorn? That's the conversation, essentially. That's not the conversation, but that's the vibe going on in this room. That's the vibe going on in this room.
Where are we at?
Suspicious.
Where are we at? Right, we were talking about Maddie.
Him disappearing multiple times.
How foolish.
Him disappearing to Northport. What the hell was he doing? That is suspicious. I mean, now that I know that that's where he went, that is suspicious as all fuck. Why did he go to a storage unit facility? What was he grabbing? What was he trying to dispose of? Or what was he trying to hide in the... That to me is suspicious.
Do you put more weight on that than 192?
192, no, because 192 would be... Something happened in Northport. There'd be no reason he would take...
Do you understand what I was asking with that phrase? Putting weight on it? Like, do you feel like it's more suspicious what he was doing in Northport versus 192?
I don't know which one's... I don't know which one is more suspicious to me. They both... 192 seems to me like the easiest place he could have dumped her or like figured out where to put her. Unless she was in my trunk the whole time and he went to Northport.
The trunk of your car?
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at the murder of Maddie in any way, shape, or form. But just the way her presentation on that is, remember he says, which one of these has more weight? Okay. And she's going, yeah, I really can't say, but, well, yeah, I guess I can say, not Northport because the other one's closer, unless she's in my trunk of my car.
Didn't you drive your car at some point?
I
Did you guys sit in your car at some point?
I did. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have probably smelled something, but I didn't. So I'm just trying to think. I'm like, did he stash a body in Northport? No, I don't think so. He was probably hiding something or destroying something. So I guess 192 would probably be the most important right now.
For being in your trunk is oddly specific.
The only reason I say that is because from what you guys have told me, he went directly from the hotel to Northport. I don't think he made any stops anywhere in Kissimmee or anything first and then went to Northport.
All we know is what we can piece together through accessible cameras and data. So his movements, his driving patterns, his actions, we can only 100% say what they are if they're on camera.
Okay.
So we can say he went to Northport because the car was in Northport. Where he stopped, where he went in between, that cannot be factual from us if we don't have a camera. It can just be an assumption, which is why I want your assumptions, because you know him, I don't.
Yeah. If I fell asleep at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, at the hotel, what was that, Monday night? Tuesday night?
One of them.
stop somewhere, wherever he stashed her, and then took her to Northport. I think he had time.
Okay, see, that was the tree fall again. You'll notice she's leaning forward. She's been giving information that you're not having to pull teeth. These two guys been sitting back. If they was like watching a movie, you know, if they had popcorn, I'm sure they would have been, you know, chipping away. But unfortunately, you can't have popcorn in these interview rooms. But anyway, she's leaning forward. It's like, okay, well, should I tell him? Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Here we go.
Has he cleaned your car since he came back from Northport? Has he brought it to a car wash? Has he detailed it? Paid somebody to come out?
No.
Because you, through your, we call it a fiction novel, you pieced together what you think happened based on a suspicious activity, and you ended with, you think he put her in your trunk and brought her to Northport.
Yeah.
I know I asked you to make assumptions, but now I want to know why. Why is that how we finished this? What is in your mind leading you to believe that is the ending to the story?
Because 192 seems like a really busy strip, and I can't think of anywhere immediately, like, other than going deep into St. Cloud, like passing St. Cloud, like going into Holopaw or Harmony, that I could see some stashing the body somewhere around there. But Northport has so many wooded areas, and I feel like
There's wooded again.
I don't know, he would be familiar with both areas. I just don't know him to ever drive down 182 super far down, like into St. Cloud. But I've known him to drive around all around Northport. But see, I don't want to say anything and like lead you guys down to Northport to do a search and nothing's there. I'm just
We're gonna go everywhere.
We're searching woods right now where she's not.
Okay. I just want to be like, I know you guys are like looking at me for the details, but I'm like, I don't want to send you on a wild goose chase.
No, why would I want to send you on the wrong goose chase looking for my deceased daughter? I wouldn't want to do that.
You know him better than us. You gotta really think.
She's compartmentalized.
There's something I can think of.
Where do you take her?
I'm going blank. I have no idea.
I feel like you're becoming emotional right now. I feel like you want to tell us.
No, if I knew what to tell you, I would tell you. If I had the truth, I would tell you. I don't know anything.
Jennifer, where do you think he took her?
If I were him and I had to stash a body, but I would never do this.
Let's play through that, right? If I were him and I had to stash the body, wait a minute, like an Etch-a-Sketch. Wait a minute. That's not what I meant to draw. Okay, just a second. Give me another minute.
My mind would say to go to Lake Toho. There's a lot of woods there. There's a lot of gators.
There's the woods again.
I don't want to think, but go.
A lot of gators.
No, I know. I just don't want to think about him getting eaten by gators.
See, sitting in the middle of that couch now becomes significant, doesn't it? Because now we're down the road and we're into, well, if I was him, where I would snatch a body is down that area where all the alligators are. Okay. Now you think about all this information that's coming out now. Okay. A truthful person would have chosen one of the other two sides right from the get-go. But she has straddled the center of that couch from the moment she got in that room. And now we know why. Because she is like, you have to put her in a dental chair and slowly remove each and every one of her molars. And this has been a lot of work for these guys. And kudos that they got her down this road to the point where she's saying if he had to get rid of the body, she was going to take, this idea all the way down the road. Let's see here. You can't see that. See, I can't see that, Chris. Okay. No big deal. I can. I've seen it 1,000 times. All of this time now, she comes up with this area of where he would have done it. Okay. And the reason he would have done it in that area is because of the alligators. I think it's amazing work.
I don't know where she runs.
Yeah, how many bingos do we have? I love it. Thanks,
Like I
Butterfly.
told you, there's going to come to a point where we will. Right? Volusia County Sheriff's Office just found somebody the other day that's been missing for a long time. People get found. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not quick. I'd hope in this situation it's today, tomorrow, Sunday. But we will find her.
I know.
What you
You're
need to
talking
think
about
about
it.
is when you find her,
So am I. You got to go to the
opportunity or
beginning
chance
and
that
listen.
we are going to prove that you did not assist us to your full capability in this investigation. And if that is true, you need to think about the consequences of that. Consequences of hindering a murder investigation or a capital sexual battery investigation could be punishable up to probably the same charges, the same time in jail. I know you know that I don't believe what you're saying, and I know you know that I think you prioritize Stephan, but you prioritize jail. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we come back and prove that you sat in this room and misled us,
No.
that you didn't lead us in the right direction, or that you assisted, or you acknowledged, or you knew, you're going to be warning from jail.
If I knew anything, I swear I would tell you. He hasn't mentioned. We haven't discussed this. I had no suspicion of anything. He did not tell me any more details of where he went that day other than those shops that I had mentioned. I'm giving you my truth.
All right. I don't know what happened just there, but we're going to get you right back. We're almost done.
I don't think I did.
when we talked about saying
House game rules.
On Vine Street in Kissimmee.
by Oak Street.
That house game rules. Feel free to drag the map around as you please.
You're right, Babs. Sorry. My laptop is very sensitive and I clicked.
And realistically, Florida has a lot of wetlands, so anything you see that's green may not necessarily be wooded. This may be a rule, but
See, they're locking her in.
where you think based off of his route, not necessarily just like the green parts of the map.
Yeah.
They want to see what knowledge she doesn't have. Ha ha. Yeah, show me what you don't know. That's what this is. It's beautiful.
In the back of house game rules has access to the lake. That is the one shop I can remember him specifically naming that he was going to that Monday. He said house game rules. Did he make it there? I don't know.
This move here is classic. It's like, look, you can believe everything I'm saying because ask Frank, I brought him with me. He's in the lobby. So this is the same technique.
If we ever went down 192 together, it would
kind of show us where you think you would have dumped the body.
Towards Disney.
This is great.
That's why I find it really.
You know, if they're not even talking.
Because I've never gone into St. Cloud with him before.
So you told me you have a friend in St. Cloud.
I do.
I don't know if he knows, but explain to him where she lives, who she is. Explain that relationship to him, because I don't think he's aware of it.
No.
Oh, okay. So one of my really good friends lives off of Old Canoe Creek Road, off Nolte.
Okay.
I don't know what neighborhood though. She's one of my really good friends. She's somebody I know that lives in St. Cloud. She's one of like two people I know that live in St. Cloud. She's hung out with us, as in me and Stephan before. She's come over to hang out with me, and Stephan would be hanging out there too, so we would all kind of hang out together. But yeah, she's just a friend.
And you're 100% sure he's never been to her house?
Yes.
Do they have their own friendship? Or is it just, that's your friend and the only time he ever talks to her or hangs out with her is with you?
Exactly. Just my friend, and he would talk when she was around.
And you just told me about the second person in St. Cloud. Who is that?
Somebody I haven't seen in a long time. Her name is Courtney Brackman. She lives, can you pull up the map?
Mm-hmm.
But he's never been over to her house either.
Research.
She lives somewhere in this area over here. Around here. Lake Lizzie to me is familiar. I would go hiking there often.
There's a preserve there.
Yeah, a few years ago, we would go hiking all the time with my friend Courtney, the one who lives right by there.
With Stephan?
No, Stephan would never come.
Still on the table.
Now, would you tell him you're going to Lake Lizzie Preserve?
I've mentioned it before, yeah, on the phone.
when we talked about St. Cloud and, you know, he had asked for your top 5 places, why did this ever cross your mind?
Lake Lizzie?
Any of these places in St. Cloud that you're familiar with?
I mentioned them the first time St. Cloud was brought up. I mentioned my 2 friends that live there. And then, I don't know if I ever mentioned Lake Lizzie. Not sure.
Do you know if Lake Lizzie was special?
She did enjoy going out there.
Okay, so a lot going on here. Obviously, what they're just trying to do is just pin her down a little bit more about if she's lying, let her lie, because they're going to go check these locations out. And if she's telling the truth, then show us where you believe some of this stuff would have occurred or where the body was. Remember, she's just right now, they haven't found the body. And so here's where I think we're 2 hours and 40 minutes into this thing. Here's my bottom line assessment after watching the totality of this situation here. Okay. Do I believe that she has knowledge in relationship to the murder? Meaning, did she participate in the murder? In my opinion, the answer is no. Do I believe it is possible that Stephan, after the murder, had told her more than she has given, i.e., because I believe she is, she's had a lot of stuff happen in her life, maybe like tremendous trauma, maybe even to herself, some SA in the past, which again, Stephan in this particular circumstance, he selected her as much as he did Maddie. And so he groomed both of them simultaneously. Do I believe that post-homicide, as part of his control mechanisms to keep her within the circle, that he shared with her some information, and maybe that information also had some additional threats behind it, and she has this mental instability, i.e. the bipolar and a variety of other stuff, and she is on all of these medications? Do I believe that she tried the best that she could to hold out as long as she did, even with those 2 investigators there, that ultimately, that she laid out this information to protect herself? Yes. Do I believe she's a victim in this? On the sexual assault side, that he groomed her and she didn't see that piece of it? I don't know what the totality of that is. Do I think she's a victim in relationship to Maddie's death? I don't think she's a victim in that. Do I believe she's ever been victimized? Yes. And I would be lying to you to tell you differently. Do I believe those 2 detectives in that room feel the same way? I think if I were to sit outside in the hallway with them, all of us would come to the same conclusion, that she's not the brightest bulb in the room, but we're not buying all of the story and the soggy bread that she's selling. That she has some information post-homicide that she probably hasn't completely put onto the table yet. And so that still exposes her to potential arrest down the road, depending on where else the investigation takes them. So the bottom line here is, she is a sociopath or whatever, I have no idea right now. That would be a call for a psychologist to sit down with her across the table from her and evaluate her in relationship to, those kind of problems. I can tell you she never personalized her daughter in that interview. I didn't see any of that. So that is a compartmentalization and a disassociation. And so the question there is, well, how deep really is her love? Okay. And it doesn't mean I'm right. I'm thinking like, can this woman be arrested for homicide? And I would submit to you at this point, even what we've seen here, if she could have been arrested for homicide, I think you have to give Kevin credit that he would have done it. And he would have put those bracelets on her. The fact that he did such a great interview here with his partner in there, why wouldn't he have put a set of bracelets on her towards the end of this? And so at this point, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? But what we do know is she's not in custody. Stephan is. And so we don't know why yet, but everything that I saw there in this interview indicated that she had knowledge post-homicide of something. How they got to that in totality, how they found Maddie outside of the phone call with the flat tire. Maybe there was a threat assessment here behind the scenes with her where they made a deal. Look, we put a little pressure on you. We'll see what happens. But remember, they held the big picture over her. He told her, look, in a couple of years from now, okay, this isn't going away. This isn't going to go away. So if there's anything in there, you better drop it on us now. And you can bet as fast as they downloaded his phone, they downloaded hers. And if there was incriminating evidence in there that tied her to the death of her daughter, I think they would have put a set of bracelets on her. Just my opinion. We're all entitled to have our own. I've worked over 300 murders with a 90% solvability rate. If you've worked over 300 murders with a solvability rate that high, I'll listen to your opinion. But it's welcomed. That said, God bless everybody. Thank you so much for listening and being here this evening. Aloha.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away. You and me go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze, some fresh air to put my mind at ease. No cares. You wanna come with me? Me and you go to our favorite tree. Are you ready now? We jump on a plane now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. face in a while.